6, 5. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a while since I've literally been behind the mic, no pun intended, but it's great to get back on board. Of course, here we go, the month of May, the end of the month of May, as we head down the home stretch, less than 100 days till college football. But without further ado, let's kick things off. I have the huge honor of having Miss Jen Santee, the huge Florida State one Seminole fan, and also the co-host of the Renegade Rundown. Miss Jen, welcome to the air raid, and how are you this fine evening?
Oh, I'm so good, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited, and I apologize for my voice. It's Memphis. Allergies are terrible, so it is what it is. I'm here though.
I completely understand. Oklahoma City, we're about the same as well. So it's all good, and the rain don't help either, but we make it work.
Really doesn't. Yeah, my sister was in gymnastics. She was in competitive gymnastics and lived in Oklahoma City for a while.
Very nice.
Went to that gym there, like Dynamo Gymnastics or something that was there. Yeah, she went there. So I've been to Oklahoma City quite a few times. I love the friendlies. I need me some friendlies in my life all the time.
I've been here my whole entire life, and I will say I've been to. Okay, good. We're on. I will say that I've been to a few other states and cities, but to sit there and say Oklahoma's the friendliest, I think that would be probably right on board.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think it is a toss-up. I think Memphis and Oklahoma City could do a barbecue toss-off. I don't know. I think Memphis may beat them on that one, but there's a few good ones around here. Not many.
Yeah, there's definitely some good ones. I think the problem with Oklahoma barbecue, and I don't want to alienate all the fans, is your sauce is just a little different. Memphis loves their. Some Memphis places have thick sauce, but for me, I like that sweet, thin, kind of vinegary sauce. So Rendezvous for me is where it's at. That's all I'm going to say.
Favorite barbecue. What's your favorite meat?
Favorite barbecue meat is pulled pork. But I do not want to have to pick through the white pieces. So again, being in Memphis, I will say the best barbecue you don't have to pick through is Central Barbecue. Y'all can come attack me later if you want to. I'm just saying I don't like to work for my food. I do love crab legs. I don't like working for them. So I only do them on my birthday or another time. But with barbecue, I love me some barbecue. I just don't want to pick through it. Pieces of fat will ruin my evening. I'm just saying.
Same here. Yeah, same here. I can tolerate. It would have to be very little on it for me to tolerate it. Otherwise, count me out if there's quite a bit of fat on there. I'll unfortunately just have to toss it out or give it to somebody's dog or ask somebody if they want it. So, but without further ado, let's talk some Florida State Seminoles. I know.
Let's do it.
Great season last year. I know, kind of controversial ending to Florida State, and I'm sure, some people say the injury to Jordan Travis kind of played a part in that.
I disagree.
I don't know on that, but the SEC, even though we're going into it, still has a lot of money tossing out there, so I'm sure that that helped out as well. But recapping the 23 season and add your thoughts on that snub from the college football playoff. What was your recap of the Seminoles last year?
So for me, I honestly went into the season. I kind of thought we would go, maybe 10-3. I did not. I did think they would actually make the ACC championship. But I thought it would be 10-3. I thought they'd be right there on the cusp with Clemson. The Clemson game was the one that always worried me because they were going to Clemson. But they won and they went 13-0. And unfortunately, it was the morning Jordan Travis got hurt and he wasn't even hurt yet. And ESPN was talking about taking them out of the playoffs. And so as soon as he got hurt that day, I went on an after show, and some Florida State fans didn't like what I had to say. I said they are going to leave us out of the playoffs over this. It's going, like, I called it. I didn't like to call it. It's not what I wanted. And honestly, even when they won the ACC championship, I said, they're really not going to do this, are they? Like, they can't. Like, they're not going to. But something said they were going to do it, because ESPN had said, even before Jordan was hurt, I know what their excuse is that he was hurt, but it's on video. It's on video. It's on College Game Day. The morning Florida State played North Alabama or whatever, Jordan wasn't even hurt. And they were like, well, Alabama should be in the playoffs over Florida State because, blah, 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 blah. They barely beat Boston College. I'm old enough to remember that, Alabama barely beat sorry-ass Auburn, who got roasted by New Mexico State at home the week before. So again, I don't blame Alabama and I don't blame Texas. It's not their fault.
Right.
But they kind of need to know that you got in. Texas got in because they want Alabama in. Alabama got in because you beat Georgia. That's it. That's the end of the story. And I get it. And that's fine. But you left out a team that did everything they were supposed to do, survived injuries, played a very tough schedule. I don't want to hear about it's the ACC. Sure. But they went to, I know Florida sucks. Okay. But guess who else lost to Florida? Guess who lost to Florida? Tennessee, who those MFers ranked at like 14 when they've beaten nobody and lost to that sorry ass Florida team. I'm over it. Like, I don't want to hear it anymore. So it is political. It was political, and you can't change my mind about it. Washington deserved their spot, and Michigan deserved their spot. But Florida State deserved to be number 3. We all know this. This is how the college football playoff has worked since it started. They've never done this before. And for anybody to compare the Ohio State situation by saying, well, Ohio State really put it on in their championship game. Well, this is what they forget. Ohio State lost at home to a sorry-ass Virginia Tech team. They already lost. They knew they needed to put it on. The playoff put Florida State at 4 before the ACC championship game. Texas was 7.
Yep.
Alabama was 6. You tell me, in what world does Texas play a lower-ranked team in Oklahoma State? Florida State plays a higher-ranked team in Louisville. Whether or not, I agree. I think Louisville sucks. I don't care about the ACC. Like, right. I really don't. Like, that's not what I'm doing. You guys are the ones that ranked them. You guys are the ones that said Louisville was a 16th, right? Or were they either 14 or 16? But Oklahoma State that played Texas was like 23 or something. So you explain this to me, that defensive performance that Florida State put on, and yes, they had a third stringer in. Okay, we get it. But that third stringer had better numbers than the Michigan quarterback did against Iowa in the same day.
Well, so, exactly. And, it's the same. And people look, and make, I'm not throwing, trash at our little brother here, but it's the same Oklahoma State team. And people are, well, you lost to him. I mean, well, you had a lot of referees that helped on that one. But the fact of the matter is, it's the same Oklahoma State team that lost to South Alabama.
Yep.
In Stillwater by 20, I don't know, it was 26, 27 points. But don't forget, the same OSU team that lost to a really piss-poor Iowa State team that lost to and got thrashed a week after, they beat West Virginia. They got thrashed, right, I think, a week before Bedlam to Central Florida. Or I take that back. They beat OU, then got thrashed by Central Florida by 40, whatever it was, 40-something points. But yet, at the same time, they considered that Texas, because in my opinion, I think Georgia should have been in, and I think Florida State should have been in. Just simply the fact of that loss. But, it's
I agree with you, but like the college football playoff committee does put conference championships
Oh,
ahead.
absolutely right.
And Georgia did lose their last game, which is another rant I can go on in a second about how everybody's like, well, Georgia won against Florida State. Florida State had no players. They had no players.
Right.
Their second string quarterback didn't even show up to the bus to leave to go play, and Brock Glenn got thrown in there. And by the way, he looked a lot better than he did in that ACC championship game. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie about that. And I know they lost 63-3. I get it. It's ridiculous. But he really looked a lot better. And I know that sounds crazy. He really did. But think about how that quarterback allowed him to have the first string snaps for the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
He could have found something. But again, you lost about 30 players that opted out. And again, I don't blame those players. If anybody wants to come after those players went to the NFL. They went to the NFL. They made their money. They were told all year to win those games. They then got told none of those games mattered.
Mm-hmm.
So why would they play that last game and get hurt when they're about to go to the draft? I absolutely respected that decision. I don't blame any of those kids. And honestly, if it was up to me, I would have forfeited that game. I wouldn't have played it. But the ACC threatened Florida State and said, if you don't, you owe us money. So that's how it went.
Well, and that goes, to the whole thing of the bowl games, and what is it, 43 of them now, 44? Seems like there's more and more every year. There's the Donut Bowl, there's the Pop-Tart Bowl, the Cheez-Its. I mean,
yeah.
Okay. My thing is, I know we understand we're about to get this playoff expansion. That's cool.
Yep.
Probably we'll still have the 12 team, but we're going to fight for that 13, 14, 15. Well, Louisiana Lafayette should have been in this bull crap like that. But the thing of the matter is these other bowl games are starting to become, in my opinion, not really entertaining. I don't get excited for them. I mean,
yeah, I think what people should maybe the committee should start looking at it as is a chance for younger players to play. I think sit your senior players, let the younger players play. It's kind of an exhibition.
Well,
don't put it on, their wins, losses of the season.
No.
Don't just, if you really want it to happen, like you've got to make it an incentive for these kids to want to play because they're being paid to play now. They're being paid to play. So forcing them to go to some bullshit bowl game that really doesn't do anything for them. I mean, maybe they get a good swag bag. I don't know. But for kids who are about to go to the NFL, there is really no incentive. They can get hurt.
Yep.
Again, look at Jordan Travis. That injury was, I couldn't even pick myself off the ground. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, it was awful. And this kid had gone through so much. He had done so much. He had turned around all of it. Like, he wanted to be a wide receiver or something. Mm-hmm. And Mike Norvell was like, no. I think you're a quarterback. And he became a very good college quarterback. I don't know how he's going to do in the NFL. I absolutely believe in him, though, because his willpower, everything he has. But what I'm saying is, like, can we not just respect these kids? Like, let the younger ones play in these bowl games if that's really what you want, because that'll give them a chance to start playing, do whatever they need to do, get used to the scheme, get used to the things. Usually they don't get on the field a lot during the year. So bowl games, maybe that's what it should be. I don't know.
I'll be down for. I'll be down for that just strictly because of the fact that, now we're getting to the point now. If you're not in the playoffs, these games are absolutely meaningless. I mean, let's say, for example, let's use Oklahoma for example. If they go back to what were we in the Alamo? I know that's not the SEC now, but whatever that kind of tier level is to the SEC, the Liberty Bowl, I guess. I don't know. Let's just be honest. I'm not gonna. I'll watch it, but I'm not gonna hoot raw, lose my voice, and I just think what they did kind of did a disservice to all teams that aren't, Alabama, Georgia, Texas. Even Texas has been treated like a redheaded stepchild for a while because they were in the Big 12, and so was Oklahoma.
they wouldn't have gotten the benefit of the doubt if they weren't going to the SEC. I really don't think they would have.
No.
So I just feel like all college football fans kind of saw this that weren't in the SEC, that weren't in the Big Ten, and said, this is some shit. This is bad. And it set a bad example because you had kids that played hurt all year. You had kids that, and they won their games. They did everything. They didn't win them the way you want it. Like, when did winning the way you want it to win start to matter? You lost your quarterback, you lost your starter, you lost your leader of your team, and you still found a way to win. I thought that should have been applauded. I thought defense wins championships used to be a thing.
Yep.
And Florida State's defense was ranked number 1 at the end of the day. So,
and hopefully the 12-team playoff, hopefully that's the answer. I'd hate to know that we have to expand it more to.
It's not.
To let more teams in.
I mean, here's why I don't think it is. If you look at the top 12 right now, right? Look at the top 12. Who's ranked in the top 12? You have one ACC team. You have everything else is the Big Ten and the SEC, right? Because Oklahoma and Texas are now in those. So that's why I count that. So you're saying, again, no Big 12 team is getting in. One SEC, one ACC, and the rest are Big 12 or Big 10 and SEC. So it's not going to work. People are still going to bitch. And again, I get it. But like, please, I hate the people that bitched about the BCS. Give me the BCS again. I need it. I need it back in my life. A computer deciding it other than idiots in a room is so much better. I'm sorry. I do not need Boo Corrigan deciding the, fate of college football. I don't. I just don't. I don't think anybody else does either. Nobody needs these rich old white men in a room who have never played the game. And the only coaches, can you explain to me the only coaches in the room are someone from Wake Forest? Are you kidding me? Wake Forest would know a playoff game if it smacked them in the face. I mean, I'm sorry. I know I'm being mean, but like Jim Grove, I don't need you on the playoff committee like ever again. Okay.
Sure you do.
No, I don't. Never. No.
And I want people that's out there watching or listening down in the future and listening to once it launches. The BCS, are we, I still thought the BCS was the best. Was the best solution. Now, don't get me wrong. I know had its flaws.
Yeah.
OU was involved.
Everything does.
OU was involved in the 2003 when they lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. Still got in. Auburn that at the time was unbeaten.
Yep.
Got the boot. Saying, nah, you're good. And of course,
but Auburn wasn't eligible though, were they? There was a whole.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out exactly what that was.
Yeah, so they weren't left out because of politics or the computer glitch. They were left out because they were ineligible. I'm pretty sure they were. Like, this was the first time it's ever happened for an undefeated Power 5 because Auburn wasn't eligible. They were on probation, I believe.
That sounds about. Yeah, I could.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to hit my Google real quick, but I'm pretty sure that Auburn was.
While you do that, do you realize that Mike Riley and Gary Pinkel is also on the committee?
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Gary Pinkel, I'm not going to lie. I didn't think he was still. I'm not saying he was old, but I didn't think he was still involved in college football. I remember him from Missouri, though. And Mike Riley.
Riley and Jim Grove. I mean, you had people that have never known anything about winning championships as coaches. It's gross to me. I don't know. Yes, they were ineligible. Yep. They were on probation.
Makes more sense.
So they were not removed because of politics. And frankly, Auburn usually loses big games like that anyway. They should have lost to Oregon, but, we know how that goes.
Little.
Sorry, I'm kind of mean in case
Not
you didn't
really.
know.
Well, it's the truth, though, that it's just how college football is. And I'm going to get your take before we really dive into Florida State.
Okay.
Um, I'm in a message trend and within podcast network. Is it safe to say by 2030 college sports will be completely ruined to a point to where it's no longer what it once was? It's more like an NFL type thing.
I don't think it's going to be ruined, but I do think it's going to change. And I get a lot of pushback on this because I feel like I've talked to a couple coaches, I've talked to people who work with teams, and it's really recruiting is what's changing it, right? For college football, these coaches have to continue to recruit, even when a kid is committed,
Right.
even when they signed, right? And these are kids out of high school that, and I'm not knocking the kid at all. What I'm saying is they're having to put all this work into a kid that has not hit under the big lights. They don't know how they're going to act on the field. They haven't put them in a locker room, and it's becoming a lot of work for them. And I really think, after talking to a couple coaches, that the portal is where it's about to be at. That's where they're going to start recruiting from. That's where they're going to start paying the money from. They've seen them under the big lights. They've seen them how they are in college atmospheres. They see them in locker rooms. And the coaches can actually watch tape of them playing in a college game. And if this kid wants to hit the portal, then that's where they're going to get them. And they know exactly what they're going to get. Or you could go put $1 million into a kid who turns into a diva and wants out in 10 days. And you're just shit out of luck.
Yep.
It's like, that's where I feel like it's going to go. That's where I feel like the college game is going to change. I think the high school recruiting is going to maybe start taking, not a back burner. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I just think a lot of these coaches around are going to say, hey, if you're a 5-star, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But they're not going to start working and putting all their time and energy. They're missing like Christmases, birthdays, and they spend so much time on kids that are supposedly committed when they're not. And then they switch on signing day. So why not just go after the portal kids that you've seen, you've got film on under the lights in a game? Like, it seems like that's a better use of their time. And that's what I'm hearing. Yes.
I definitely think college football, and I think college sports as a whole, especially college sports. I'm really curious how what I call the Olympic sports is going to, how they're going to affect, and what leads into this first topic is college expansion. Of course, we just got done. I know we got the little Kennesaw states and everybody else moving around, but also the big dogs 2 years ago was obviously Oklahoma, Texas going from the Big 12 to the SEC.
Yep.
In hindsight, thanks to Texas A&M leaking a rumor that apparently wasn't true, and then all of a sudden it became true. But congrats, A&M. But anyway,
waste of money, that place was. But whatever, go ahead.
That whole university is a complete waste.
No offense, Texas A&M fans, but I don't really like y'all. I tried to tell y'all about what you were getting, but y'all told me I was a bitter ex. But fine. Let me know how you're doing today.
Well, they just they left the Big 12 because of obviously because of Texas, but also needless to say Oklahoma. And welcome back. We're back again.
Yeah.
At least for them, we'll obviously have our we'll lick our wounds throughout the process. But going back is the ACC added Stanford, they added Clemson, Lord, California, and they added SMU. First of all, none of the three scream Atlantic coast at all.
None.
Two of them is clear across the other side of the country, and the other one's pinpoint right dab in downtown Dallas or near it in SMU. Obviously, we're hearing rumors Florida State potentially SEC, Florida State potentially Big Ten. Way back when OU was originally supposed to be leaving, Florida State was to the Big 12, but I didn't see that either. Your thoughts, just from a fan standpoint, college expansion, and then of course Florida State, and what screams best fit for them moving forward?
Well, I mean, I probably differ from a lot of Florida State fans here, because I mean, obviously, I follow the team. I have a podcast. I've kind of seen how Florida State's been working.
Right.
I think it's the Big Ten for Florida State. I don't even think the SEC is in play at this point. Now, things can change. Like, that can absolutely change. I could see the SEC getting, nervous about having the Big Ten right in their backyard with a huge value property. I really could see that. But I don't see the SEC offering them a full share. And I think that's what Florida State would, demand, because I don't see the SEC for a lot of reasons. Florida State's been treated like the redheaded stepchild in the ACC for a long time.
Yep.
And I don't see them going to another conference to just go back to that. I really don't. Unless they get some things met that they've asked for. And I don't see the SEC saying, yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I think they've been working towards the Big Ten for a long time. Their AAU status is going to be fulfilled probably within about a year. I think that's what they've been working for from an academic standpoint, from a football standpoint. And I think that's also from a standpoint of them feeling wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know how anything else shakes out. Honestly, a week ago, I would have said Clemson was not. I would have thought Clemson would go to the SEC. Right now, I think they're Florida State's partner to go to the Big Ten. Yeah, and it's weird for me.
No, it is weird because, we, I know, I can't really speak for Florida State, but going back to Clemson. A lot of people didn't really think Clemson would be in the SEC strictly because of South Carolina. You got that little close knit, but
South Carolina does not have that type of pull in the SEC.
No,
to stop it. And I think the SEC would love to have Clemson, but I really think the SEC's picks are going to be North Carolina, and I think it's going to be North Carolina State, and that's going to be maybe a year out. I don't know. I think North Carolina is involved in so much drama with their board of regents or whatever they call them, because they have to get approval from them to even talk to anybody. So I think the SEC really covets them. Sometimes I think with this whole footprint or views, nobody watches North Carolina in North Carolina. You know what I mean? So I don't know what this footprint gives you. That's fine. They're still watching SEC games and mostly watching Florida State games. There are two teams in the ACC that bring eyeballs. One is Florida State, followed by a far second is Clemson. Followed by even further is Miami, which brings me so much joy. But I'm just saying, I don't know what this footprint model is, but I think for Clemson, their value is that they've made themselves available first.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They are available. They're making themselves available. North Carolina is like, they're stuck. They're stuck. And I think both the Big Ten and SEC would love North Carolina. Again, I don't get it. That's not my business. I don't work there. So, but I do think the North Carolina is going to go to the SEC because their chancellor is an SEC guy. And I think that's where that's headed.
Real quick, what about Duke? Big Ten eventually? Duke?
Who?
Duke.
I mean, is that important?
Eventually Big Ten?
No, I honestly, I could see Duke staying in like the big, like in the ACC maybe. And then them kind of making sort of like a private school type thing or like a basketball type conference, something like that. Like that's what I could see. I have heard that the Big 12 is after Duke. I don't know. What does Duke bring besides basketball revenue, which isn't a lot? Like, again, I understand. Like, I love basketball. Everybody gets on to me about this, but the only thing that moves this needle is football, and people have to understand that. Yep. They really do. This is not anything against any basketball schools. at
Well,
all.
no.
But football actually brings revenue. Basketball, if basketball would bring everything, Memphis would be in a better conference. Let's be
Well,
real.
absolutely.
Like, and Memphis has a decent football, but
Mhm.
like, it just it doesn't move the needle, you know.
But
So I think Duke is more attractive than Wake or NC State, one hundred
oh,
percent.
by far, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And Wake and NC State fans, come after me. I love you guys. Come on, bring
Well,
it on.
and they're a bigger name than Boston College. So, I
I
mean,
mean, who isn't?
no, Duke will be the next lined up on that one. And
I could, I really could see Duke being a Big 12 target, but I could also see them staying as like a flagship of the ACC. I really could. I think their football has come up. I have predicted
Mhm.
that Manny Diaz is going to go back into Miami next year and beat them because Miami loves to lose to Duke, and especially
Yep.
with Manny Diaz as the coach, it's going to be hilarious. My team has never lost to Duke in football. Sorry. Um, but I don't know. I think Duke is way more attractive than people think they are. I'm a little surprised the Big Ten isn't more involved with
Mhm.
Duke. But it's because it's a private university. The Big Ten likes public universities. I totally get that. And Duke isn't just a private institution; they're a private
Oh,
institution.
absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
it's yeah. So I think that has some of the issues with it because Miami is also a private
Yep.
institution. I don't think a lot of people know that, but Miami, I don't know. From what I heard today, I think Big 12 or the ACC for them right now.
The Big 12, I've said this even when the Big 12 lost Nebraska, Colorado, Missouri, Texas A&M back in 20, whenever that was, 11, 12, 10 maybe. But
Hmm.
I've always thought the Big 12 should have to keep Oklahoma around in Texas, but at the time when the dominance with Oklahoma football, um, I think that they could have went after the Florida State, the Clemsons, the Louisvilles, the
The
the Miamis
Miami's.
at the time. Exactly. I think that not saying OU and Texas would have stayed. It would give them at least a better chance. But
I think they would have because I think Texas would have stayed, and I think with Texas stay, if Texas would have stayed, Oklahoma would have stayed. I really do think they would have stayed. I do.
well, I do too, just because at least you replaced. You lose that Nebraska tradition, but Nebraska hasn't been Nebraska in years, and so you gained better
Yeah,
schools for teams that hit the hay. So no, it's gonna be interesting what the ACC does. I'll be curious. Are they the next
I can't
Pac-12?
wait. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch them fall. I can't wait to watch them lose. I can't wait to watch, the Jim Phillips who did nothing about the snub, who really has done nothing his whole career there, makes millions of dollars and does nothing. I have no love for the ACC. Other ACC fans, I do not cheer for them. I don't care about your team. I don't like maybe if Clemson is playing Florida, I might have a dog in that fight or Miami or like maybe a Tennessee because
Mhm.
I live in Memphis, so Tennessee fans are wild. Yeah, good luck with that. You're going to the SEC. I don't know. I don't really care about the ACC. I hope they fold. I think they ruined their brand. I think
Mhm.
they've ruined. They did this to themselves, and I just feel like them putting basketball in North Carolina first all this time has really come back and bite them in the ass.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, because when you think ACC, you still think of the Bobby Bowden days.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know how you cannot in the Jimmy, and I understand that Miami was still in the Big East during the Jimmy Johnson days, but even in early 2000s ish, when they made the transition from Big East to the ACC, they weren't, bad, but at the end of the day, it was still Florida State that ran the ACC, and
Yeah,
unfortunately,
Miami has never won it. Sorry,
no.
guys. Never.
So
Hadn't sniffed it.
I am looking forward to, and it will not be this year, be next year, going back to Neyland Stadium and playing Tennessee again. Be first time since we
Oh,
beat them in triple
nice.
overtime. So
Oh, nice. Yeah, Neyland is always fun. I went one time. My sister went there. You know, I live in Memphis, like I said. Half of my family's Tennessee fans, half of them are Memphis fans. I just happen to go to Florida State because I'm a contrarian. Okay. And I also liked winners, you know, whatever. And it's Florida. Like, why wouldn't you want to go to Florida?
Well, exactly.
But you know, so I went to Neyland one time. I went to a game. My sister went to college there, and they were playing Georgia, and I was like, there is no way I'm putting on that orange. It's not happening. So I put on a red turtleneck, and I had to go sit in the student section at Neyland. I got booed, but the Georgia fans were so nice. I walked in, I was just waving, like whatever. The Georgia fans could have been nicer, and I didn't have to pay for a drink or food the whole day. Loved it.
I got nothing but respect for Georgia. I have. There's nothing. I don't think there's a pin. I mean, I'm sure there's one thing I can probably pinpoint on the program, but I just don't. There's nothing about. I mean, you just can't hate UGA. But
no, I mean, I don't mind Georgia. I mean, obviously, you know, we lost to them, but I don't even think that was really a game. I think that was like an exhibition. I honestly wouldn't have played that game. I would have walked out there and kneeled at the 50-yard line and just been like, goodbye. Like, I don't want to be here. But you know, Kirby Smart was the assistant coach at Florida State. I love Kirby. I don't mind. Georgia is not an SEC team that I just don't mind them. Like, I loved Mark Richt for years. I think he's one of the most amazing humans you could ever come in contact with. So I just, Alabama, I don't even have a problem with Alabama. It's really Tennessee fans and Florida fans. Y'all just are you. Good luck with that. Good luck.
I really do believe. I know, I talk some crap sometimes to some people, but I think this year is a learning curve for Oklahoma. They got I think defense will, be much better. I think I think the O-line is the biggest key on offense. And if they can really get some wins that they really supposed to, I do believe that Oklahoma can make some noise. Not saying we're going to win the SEC this year, but
I think you have a pretty good chance at it. And I also think I think Brent Venables is a great coach. Yeah. I love Brent Venables, and I loved him leaving Clemson even more. So, you got very lucky there. But with Tennessee fans, have you ever dealt with them? I need you to be real.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're insane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just letting you know, because that's a different breed. That is it. They really think it's still 1999. I'm not kidding.
Well, I'm pretty sure Coach Fulmer is still their head coach.
I call it the Miami Hurricanes of the SEC because they still believe it's 1999. They still believe they just won a championship. They still believe they've got like Peyton Manning at quarterback. I've never seen anything like it. Because I had to deal with both sides because I live here and then I do Florida State stuff. So the Miami fans.
So what you're saying?
It's a whole nother story.
So pretty much Tennessee is the university version of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, Tennessee, Miami. Yes, that's exactly what they are. Absolutely, it is so fun. They get so mad. They wear the worst clothes. Honestly, I got to tell you, I wouldn't even date a Tennessee fan. I wouldn't. No. I mean, you know what? Maybe I should rethink that. I feel like they would be easily manipulated. So maybe I should date them. I don't know. They can settle for mid. You wouldn't really have to get your hair done. Maybe I should. I don't know.
They're a different breed. You got to watch them, though.
I mean, it's weird. It's I don't like the overalls, the checkered overalls for me, which is also like a Florida fan with the jorts and like those jorts over. Like, no, I'm not doing that either. But honestly, like when Tennessee lost to Florida this year, and Florida won what, 5 games? Are we kidding ourselves? Yeah. And Tennessee's ranked 14 or 17, something like that. Who does Tennessee beat basically Connecticut? That was their big win. I hope Oklahoma and Texas just go in there and just smash it, because I'm so tired of the Missouris, the Tennessees getting away with beating nobody barely beating like Auburn's or no New Mexico or whatever bullshit teams they schedule on their schedule, whatever. And then losing to the actual good teams in the SEC. And then, oh, well, they're in the SEC. Let's rank them.
Well,
so I'm so glad they're adding more that are going to kick their ass. That's what I'm hoping for.
I do think, I think this year, for example, I think, I do believe I'm not sold on Missouri and I'm definitely not sold on Tennessee. I think those are two games. Oklahoma, I know one's in Columbia, one's in Norman. Excuse me. But Tennessee, I know they bring some, but I think Josh Heupel is going to get more of the emotional whatever rendezvous just coming back to Norman than anything else. OU's first SEC game in history. I'm sure it's going to be a night game. Don't see why wouldn't be.
I'm a little. Are you concerned if Brent Venables, maybe doesn't have the best year this year that he gets canned?
Well, and what's funny you brought that up. So I can't remember who the guest was, so I ain't gonna say. Well, back on this day with guest so and so. I can't tell you exactly who the guest was, but I can probably look it up eventually. I was a very huge Dan Lanning OU go after Lanning guy. Extremely, because here's the deal. It brought back, let's use Nebraska for example.
You and Alabama fans.
yeah. Let's bring back Nebraska. Just because you went in-house or you brought back what was it? What the best word? They brought back people that know the program. Doesn't always mean that's the route to go. But I'm not surprised. I do like Brent regardless. I'm not taking any shots at him at all.
Yeah.
I was just, Dan Lanning knows the SEC. Not saying Brenton doesn't, but Dan Lanning doesn't week in and week out. Clemson doesn't sometimes in the playoffs. So congrats. But week in and week out, he knows the grind it's going to take. But at the same time, Brent knows, I think they wanted to come in, somebody to come here and kind of calm things down. Lincoln left on a bad note, whether or not he cried and didn't cry, whatever, I don't care. And
boy, what a disaster he's been. I mean, I don't even have the words, but that's
Oof. But to answer your question, Jen, is I think this year he's going to be safe. Now, having gone 6-7 2 years ago, luckily he bounced back with the 10-3 season.
Yep.
That saved. I think that did save him a few years left. Now, with that being said, he gets the same exact SEC conference schedule next year, just opposite. So we go to Tuscaloosa. We, LSU comes here. We go to, Ole Miss comes here. We blah 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 blah. So that we already know the SEC next year. You add Michigan on top of that next year, they come to Norman. Now here's the deal. I think 25 is going to be make or break for a lot of. I think make or break for OU as that. I do think 25 is a big year because it tells me, okay, now that's going to be year 4, 5, 6, and 7 was the first year because we lost to you guys in that one bowl game. And then,
that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so 2. So this would, it's okay, 4 years in. It'll be his 4th year in. If there's not any type of improvement somehow, I think he could be on the hot seat. Because even though we're in the SEC, OU fans, and there's a lot of cuckoo ones of them that sit there and say, we're going to go undefeated. Okay, well, let's just calm our horses down, first of all. Whether we do or not, that's not the answer. But we're not just going to go in there. If you go undefeated in the SEC,
exactly. He's going to be like, y'all are winning a national championship. He's going to win Coach of the Year. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, especially the first year. Like, let's calm down just a bit.
Yeah,
it may not happen.
We're gonna get our bumps and our bruises along the way. Don't get me wrong. Just not, we may win, but it's not gonna be this year. But and who knows?
And you might.
Exactly. It might. I'm not gonna sit here and say not, but I do think I'm gonna go out on the limb. I said this on the podcast before. I'm gonna say it again. Oklahoma's in a make or break year or make or break moment for OU. they're on the verge of being Nebraska all over again in the Big Ten.
Okay, I disagree with you on that. I think Oklahoma they are recruiting so well right now. They're recruiting very well. I like the recruits they're taking. I mean, they're not like Texas right now, obviously.
Right.
But Texas is going to lose recruits because Steve Sarkisian is going to lose games. We know this. It is what it is. I feel like Oklahoma is going to be the more successful one. What I worry about is they're going to fire Brent and hire Josh Heupel. That's what I worry about. I think firing Venables would be wrong to hire Josh Heupel.
Well, yeah.
And that's why I was asking that question, because I do think Josh Heupel is the one that they've circled, they've thought about if they have to make that call. And I do think Josh Heupel would leave Tennessee for Oklahoma. I don't even think it would be I don't even think that would be a choice. I just don't know. I think Josh Heupel did a great job his first 2 years, but Tennessee is regressing. It's regressing right now. I think the Nico kid is really good. I don't know. I'm not seeing on their defense. Their defense needs a lot of work. I mean, that defense is. They let Iowa score a touch. Iowa couldn't score a touchdown like all year.
No.
And they let them score what, 2 or 3? I mean, what are we doing here? Those they couldn't pay a homeless person to take a football over the goal line to put it on there to score. I've never seen it. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I don't want them to fire Brent Venables for Josh Heupel because I don't know that it would really elevate it that much.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, exactly. I think I hate saying it, and I like Heupel. I like what he did.
I do too. I do too.
His offense wasn't working when he was the O coordinator for Bob, and things just had to change. But the thing that matters is let's just play devil's advocate. I mean, I hate saying this because I really want us to come in here and start proving the haters wrong, but we'll see what happens. Is if by chance OU looks like, man, we just come on, Brent, this thing ain't going nowhere. We got to figure something out. If we're gonna fight, and I know this is a long shot, it would be like if you're gonna get rid of Brent, you better bring in like a Ryan Day,
Brian Hartline.
You better somehow open up your pocketbooks and get Kirby. Who took over Michigan? Because he's from OU.
Oh Lord, what was his name? Now I can't even look it on my. I'm using my phone for my camera, so I can't look it up. Hang on, let me check my Google.
Michigan head coach. I can see his face.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he's
Sherrod
a crier.
Sherrod Moore.
He's a crier though. In Oklahoma, we don't want criers. You don't want criers.
I'll be curious, but he'll be on one of those things. Depends on how he does in Michigan. But if OU's gonna say
gonna go well,
if this ain't gonna work, yikes! To save our program, literally, we got to go open up the pocketbook, go after Kirby. Nick obviously's done. Lincoln obviously won't ever come back.
I'm telling you, it's going to be Josh Heupel. I don't know what to say about that. Lane Kiffin's going to Florida next year. Which is unfortunate for me, but I think that's the way that's going to go. I think Lane Kiffin would crawl over broken glass to get to a program in Florida, and especially a big one.
Well,
if it's not going to be, I mean, I even said when everybody was saying Mike was going to go to Alabama, I was like, okay, but I mean, he's not. I didn't think he was. I was told he wasn't. But I also said, but if he does, Lane Kiffin is up. And I kind of got called crazy. And then 3 weeks later, ESPN came out with a story that said, guess who had already said yes?
Yep.
Lane Kiffin. So again, I mean, Lane Kiffin is going to go to Florida. Him in Oklahoma, I don't know how that would work. I don't know that it would work as well because I think Florida is like flashing in this. Oklahoma fans would look at him like, I mean, he is kind of douchey. Like, let's be real.
Who, Lane?
Let's be real. Yes.
Oh, his tweets are hilarious, though.
I mean, I love him too. I love chaos. Okay. I'm an anarchist at heart. I love it. I love it. I love it. Give me more of it. Show me all like the backstories of it too.
Right.
By the way, Lane Kiffin needs a reality show. I'm here for this.
Does he
I
not look
will
like Tosh 2.0?
He does.
He
And
does.
like
Yeah.
buy a GoPro and fucking sell it to Bravo. Everybody would love it. Everybody would love it.
Oh, I'll tune in.
I mean, I would watch it 24/7. I would watch it 24/7.
Yep.
I just you know, there's this is the other name that worries me for Oklahoma if y'all decide to fire Brent Venables. Is Deion Sanders. Oh God. Please don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's funny you brought that up. I don't,
because his name's coming up. That's why.
well, his name's going to come up. I still think he goes to Florida State eventually. Here's what I think.
No.
Or he's going to go to Dallas. Here's what I think. I think he's head over here. I don't think he's not the guy for Colorado. He's not going to turn that program around at all.
No shit.
Yeah, he's
what program? They haven't had a program since 1990, and they had to share that with Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Like,
so
it's just it's a vanity project for him. And honestly, I got on a space last night that really, I mean, I got on like a Florida State space after my show, like thinking, hey, let's talk to the fans, do all these things. And there was all these Colorado fans in there, and they are really awful. They're really awful.
I don't know why they haven't been good since Cordell Stewart.
Well, this is what us in the South like to call new money.
Boy.
They're new money. They're not used to being good, and they still aren't good.
Well, they're not good.
And they're not any good. And they've won 4 games. And because they get like the glorification, we're supposed to sit there and swoon. No. Mm-hmm. I love Deion Sanders as a player. He went to Florida State. He's one of the best players that ever played at Florida State. And Bobby Bowden said amazing things about him. He has not been a great ambassador for Florida State for a long time. That never bothered me because he was a good player. I didn't care what he did after he left. That's not my business. That's his business. I don't care. What killed me with him was when he bragged about getting a speaking thing at Bobby Bowden's funeral and didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what said, all right, I'm out, Deion. Enjoy. Have a nice one. You know, I'm fine with you at Colorado. You know, enjoy yourself. But the fact that he didn't get the Florida State job, he continuously bashes. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, why in the world would you, as no head coaching experience, want to take over a program like Florida State and think you just earned it?
Right.
It makes no sense.
He's not going to do anything at Colorado. I think he leaves after this year, to be honest.
He leaves when his kids leave.
Yeah, Shadur leaves and Silo leaves. They're both going to leave this year. So I think he's out. Now, where does he go? I don't know. I still personally think he's going to head out down Dallas. I don't know. He may go to Florida. I don't know. I don't see that.
He's not going to go to Florida. I could see maybe like if Malzahn leaves UCF or like USF needs to go, that's where he needs to start. He doesn't get the fact that coaching is hard. Yep. One, you have to buy insurance for your players. That's kind of a must. Also, maybe not treat them like shit. I mean, his antics on Twitter is gross. Parents don't like it. Parents do not like it. That's why he has to use the portal. You gotta do other things, Deion. I do love Deion. He was a great player. I'm really not trying to trash him. I think he's a great dad. I just don't think he's a great coach. I don't think he's a great runner of a program. And this is not any sort of like, I'm not jealous of Colorado. Okay.
No.
Like Colorado people actually were like, you're so jealous. I was like, of what? What am I jealous of?
You're jealous that your Florida State's not 0-12.
I mean, no offense, but the last time we played Colorado, we beat the shit out of you. And that was like in our down years in the 2000s. Okay. Like I'm not jealous of you at all. So I don't know. I think Lane Kiffin's going to be the next coach of Florida. Brian Hartline might be the next coach at Ole Miss when Lane leaves. That would make a lot of sense to me. And I hope Brent Venables has a great year because I think he deserves this.
Oh, absolutely.
I loved him at when he left Clemson, I was so happy. Dabo can't coach. We all know this. Dabo isn't allowed to call plays. He's not allowed to do anything. When he left Jeff Scott and Brent Venables, we made in the shade, darling. Like we're good.
When Brent left Clemson, look at the defense that first season without Brent.
Oh, I know.
It was a complete train wreck and has been since. So
do you mean when Dabo hired his cousin, it didn't work out very well? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so obviously, Brent made him look good, and I still think Brent will do well, and I think we'll be perfectly fine.
I hope so.
I think we'll be perfectly fine in the SEC. I'm looking forward towards it.
I think he will too. I mean, for me, the SEC fans, and you guys haven't been in there long enough, so you don't know it, but they really feel like even their bottom feeders are so much better than everybody else. The SEC is literally, and before Oklahoma and Texas came in, that's where it's Alabama, Georgia, and everybody else. That's it. That's it. And y'all can sit there and talk to you about Kentucky. Fucking cares about Kentucky. Or Vanderbilt, really. Tennessee hasn't won anything big in years. They haven't had a 10-win season in years. Well, they may have 2 years ago, but even before that. I sit here and I look at the SEC and I do not see where Oklahoma's going to have a problem at all.
Well,
sorry.
No, you're good. Just go like this year real quick. This year and next year, our conference schedule is the same. So this year, our road games consist of Auburn. I ain't really scared of them. Ole Miss, that could get interesting.
No.
LSU, that could get interesting.
LSU's good.
Missouri, nah. And then neutral site with Texas. Well, Texas, a lot of times that's their year to beat us and they lose. So,
but you're used to it.
Exactly. OU Texas, that don't count. So the home games, Tennessee, nah. South Carolina, nah.
Tennessee plays terrible on the road.
Alabama's going to be interesting. Alabama, Tennessee. I know I'm missing one. Oh, no, I'm not. I think I'm missing. I think that's it.
Alabama doesn't play terrible on the road. Tennessee does. So, but honestly, go look at Tennessee's schedule last year. I am not insane. They ranked them so high and they beat nobody. They beat literally nobody.
Yeah, our home games, Tennessee, South Carolina, Alabama. Okay, so that was
when. The other one could be a toss-up. Although I do not believe in Jalen Milroe at all. And what week do you play Alabama?
That's the second to last of the season.
Oh.
Late November. And then road games, Auburn. That's the first SEC road game. Texas, neutral site. I'm not concerned about that. South Carolina. Not South Carolina. Ole Miss. That could. Jackson Dart's a player. Missouri, not so much concerned. LSU. They may be all injury prone, beat up, and everything else. That may not matter. Who knows? And maybe that'll be a Death Valley night game. That'd be kind of cool. To see, but and it's the same schedule this year as next, or we just flip flop. So, his first 2 years could go really well. His first 2 years could be okay, cool. We in ourselves, we look our wounds, and we move on. Or oh crap, this.
I think you'll beat Ole Miss. I think you beat Tennessee. Auburn. Oh God. I was thinking that was like I would put them in a power like. I put them like in a G5 conversation, like the one you add on like at the end of the year. Auburn sucks. I'm sorry. Their coach is just kind of a piece. I don't get it. I don't get the Hugh Freeze fascination. I don't at all. I think his schemes are terrible. I think his coaching is terrible, and he's also not a great person. So yeah, for Auburn. And again, I have this issue with the way they treated Brian Harsin. They made up this rumor that got him fired that wasn't true. And then they fired Brian Harsin for cause on a rumor of an affair. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
and then hired Hugh Freeze.
Like Hugh Freezing, I don't have some baggage of his own.
I mean, he got fired from Ole Miss for prostitutes on cell phones.
Mhm.
Okay. Like, I don't need this from Auburn fans. If you just wanted to fire him because he sucked, fine. But why hire Hugh Freeze? What's that doing for you?
Well, exactly.
Like, you couldn't get anybody better? I mean, you wanted to ruin, I mean, they ruined his life. His wife, like, left him, I think. Brian Harson.
Well,
Like,
I'm
it's
sure she did,
bad.
yeah.
It's a gross thing to do. And so yeah, Auburn deserves all the bad things that happen to them. And unfortunately, I was giggling at the fact that, Alabama actually won in that 4th and 44 or whatever it was. I didn't know it was going to fuck my team over, but at the time, I'm sitting here going, "Oh, ha ha ha, Auburn! You usually get all this luck in the world, and you didn't this time." And that was karma, but then it came back to bite me. So,
No, I think Oklahoma this year, our non-conference schedule, I'm not scared of it at all. Temple, Houston, Maine, Temple, Houston, Maine.
you know who I would like for an Oklahoma
Tulane.
if they fire Venables, which I don't think they will. I think he's going to have a good year.
No.
I don't think Dan Mullen is looked at enough. I love him as a coach. X's and O's, he's great. If he hires like a Tim Brewster, a recruiter to go along with him, like somebody who is going to drop those bags and like recruit these kids, Dan Mullen can scheme up a game like nobody's business. And if Mike Norvell left Florida State, I'd want Dan Mullen in a heartbeat.
That'd be an interesting name to keep an eye on, especially headed into next season.
I love me some Dan Mullen. I'm sorry. I just do. He's like partying up on Florida's dime like in Ibiza or something. He's posting it like on Twitter and he's like, look at these chicks. And he's getting paid by Florida. So of course I love it. I love every minute of it.
You guys could get Urban.
Fuck no. Mm-mm.
But let's talk some Florida State Seminoles.
Let's do it.
Course schedule wise, it's
I think it works for Florida State. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think they could easily run the table.
I can honestly, and I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm not trying to be this arrogant fan, but I honestly can't find a game that really scares me. I don't. Some people say SMU. I don't. I'm not scared of Notre Dame. Lord have mercy.
Well, I think Notre Dame being to start off potentially in the top 10, I think is outrageous.
Well, that's usually what they are, right? They always overrank them, and then they lose, and then they still overrank them after they lose multiple times.
Obviously, I know you don't have the inside scoop, but what in the world is going on with Florida State's first 2 games being conference?
Well, okay, so it's because they agreed to do the Ireland game with Georgia Tech. Gotcha. Now the ACC screwed them with adding Boston College right after that. So they scheduled the Georgia Tech game. That was scheduled 2 years ago. The ACC conference just came out. So conference schedule just came out. So they kind of got screwed. I don't really think of it as a screw job. I think the Georgia Tech game might be weird because of jet lag. But again, jet lag should not. If you lose, then
you lose,
guys, I don't have any excuses for you. Those fuckers beat Miami because they couldn't kneel a ball. You need to beat their ass so bad. And if you can't, I don't want to hear about jet lag. I don't want to hear it. And then the next week is Boston College. If you can't beat Boston College, I can't help you anymore. I cannot sit here and promote you anymore. I can't do it.
Well, you're looking at the schedule. Obviously, neutral site, Ireland with Georgia Tech, Boston College at home. Then they're off. Then they get Memphis again. Another team. Should be another win. Then you guys play Cal for a conference game. It's weird saying conference game in the ACC.
Easy peasy lemon
Good,
squeezy.
good
There we
luck,
go.
Cal. That's all I got for you. Good luck. Then you guys go to Dallas, and not for a good reason. You guys play SMU out. That's not even scary.
It's not
Um,
scary to me. Everybody else is scared by this. I'm
I
not.
don't know
I
why.
don't know why. They have like, I mean, look, I'm not like denigrating their team, but like, I just, I've seen them play. I live in Memphis, the AAC and all these things. I've seen them 1,001 times. I saw them last year. Um, I've seen Florida State's player sizes, and I've seen SMU's player
Yep.
sizes. We are eating at different tables, guys. It is not going to be close. And honestly, I will tell you this. The Oklahoma game that Florida State came to Oklahoma, not when y'all came to Florida State, but it was the year before that we went to Oklahoma and got
Was
absolutely
it
destroyed, right?
2010, 2011?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it was like we got absolutely destroyed. When I saw the size of the Oklahoma players getting off the bus or whatever next to my Florida State beloved players, like, I love you guys so much. But I was like, I should probably drink a lot before this game starts.
I will say I went to that OU Florida State game back in, I believe, it 2011. Might have been 2010. But
At
anyway,
Norman or at Florida State?
Norman. And there was one fan, one fan that said that the beer sucked. I'm like, okay, you already wasted anyway. So apparently it was not to suck that bad, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I went to the Florida State game the year after that. I went to the Oklahoma versus Florida State game at Florida State, and that was the loudest I think I've ever heard. And that was a good game. That was a great game.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
The year before that, it was like we weren't even eating at the same. Like that was so different, and I think that's what SMU is now. SMU runs through the AAC. Florida State is not a typical ACC team. Neither is Clemson. And when you look at these types of players, it's different. It's just different. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Well, so, SMU, they're not going to succeed, and neither is Cal in the ACC, but to each its own.
I think SMU will succeed in the ACC as after Clemson and Florida State leave.
Speaking of Clemson, you guys play them right after SMU. And then you guys are off, and then at Duke, at Miami, North Carolina, at Notre Dame. Then you're off again, Charleston Southern, and then Florida to wrap up the regular season.
Yeah. So, again, find me a loss. I can't. I just, Drake May is gone from North Carolina, and Matt Brown is a plant from Florida State. Like, Mike Norvell won 3 games his first year, and one was North Carolina with Mac Brown. I'm just saying, Mac Brown really does. I mean, he was a coach at Florida State. He went to Florida State. I think he's a plant. I don't think North Carolina is ever going to beat Florida State in football because it's just not going to happen. So, what's my next one? What's the next one you want to ask me about other than North Carolina? Miami is a given. We're going to beat Miami. And
any threats that the Catholic kids may beat you in South Bend?
No. I mean, I'm sorry. I just don't. I mean, show me the law. Like, I just don't see it. I saw how Notre Dame played at the end of the year, and Florida State's actually going to be better this year than they were last year. They've got better playmakers. I mean, they did lose Keon Coleman. That is a huge loss. But what they gained was a bunch of slot receivers, which DJU actually uses very well. And I think this is actually going to be Mike's scheme for the first time. I think it's his perfect scheme. DJU is his perfect quarterback. I'm not saying they're going to win every game. They probably won't. But as of right now, with what I know, show me the loss. Because I mean, I guess if I could say one, I would say Clemson, but that's at home. They're not losing to Duke. They've never lost to Duke. So I don't know. Find it for me. Show me.
I'll give you a loss.
Go for it.
Will be one.
Go for it. Let me know. Because it's not going to be Florida's at Florida State. Miami's at Hard Rock Seminole Stadium, which we always win in. Notre Dame is Notre Dame. And yeah, North Carolina's again, I mean, these are all good teams, and I'm not trying to criticize them, but we have their number. I don't know. I'll be happy to be wrong. Well, I won't be happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
But if it happens, it happens. But I just can't call it right now because I just don't see it, because none of those teams have given me that, vibe. Miami maybe with Cam Ward, but their coach is still Mario Cristobal, and he's a quarterback killer. So I'm not seeing it. And Cam Ward also wanted to go to the NFL. He really wanted to go to Ohio State. He wanted to go to college. So, I mean, he got stuck with Miami, and that's fine. That's, just I prefer DJU because the only school he wanted to go to was Florida State, and that that tells me something. It really does.
Speaking of Florida State, what should we expect? I'll let you kind of answer this one wholeheartedly on this one. What should we expect as outsiders, if you will, Florida State this year and their quest to repeat in the ACC?
Well, I mean, I think they win the ACC again. I think because, again, I'm just not seeing I think Kate Klubnik at Clemson is fine, but Dabo still employs his brother-in-law and his cousin on his staff, and it's just not going well, and he won't use the portal. Miami is Miami, and North Carolina lost Drake May. I think Florida State wins the ACC. I don't know. I mean, I know I think they make the playoffs. I just need. I don't know. I'm not saying they win a championship, but I think they make the playoffs. Yes.
I'm going to butcher his last name, so that's why I'm not going to say it. Is DJ going to be that impact player better than it was a year ago, Jordan Travis?
It's Uwe Angalalai.
Yeah.
I've had to learn it. I've learned it.
Yep.
Yes, I think they're different players, though. I think they're different players. Yeah. Jordan, I am not taking anything away from him. DJ is a different player. He's obviously bigger. He's obviously a little bit more stout. He's a little bit. I don't know what kind of runner he's going to be under Mike's, system. But with Mike Norvell, I think DJ is the actual quarterback that fits him.
Oh, absolutely.
With the system he runs. So DJ throws probably a cleaner ball. But DJ does have a problem seeing ghosts. And I'm not trying to be biased. I'm not going to be biased here. I do think DJ sees ghosts, but I think that happened at Clemson. And he got better at Oregon State. He really did. So I think with all the reports I'm hearing, he's actually done about 100 times better than they thought he would be at this point. Yeah.
Very nice.
So I love DJ. I think he's going to be good. We'll see. We'll see.
Who's going to be, I know you guys lost some talent in receiving core. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be that go-to for DJ this year?
Malik Benson. That's what I mean. That's my thoughts.
I could see that, yeah.
Jalen Lucas is going to be a surprise for Florida State.
Okay.
I think this is a kid that is so fast. He's going to be taking, he's going to do punt returns, kickoff returns, all these things. But he's also a slot receiver that is like that. He is so quick. It's going to be fun. Let's see how it goes. I think Jalen Lucas is going to be a big surprise for people. If you remember Kermit Whitfield, who played for Florida State, that's who Jalen Lucas reminds me of. So fast, so quick. It's going to be a surprise. And I have my own personal favorite who's a defensive back. Um, Ricky Knight, I love you. I keep talking about you all the time. This kid is so good, and he was only a 3-star. I've never seen anything like this. This kid is so good. I don't know. I'm so excited to have him on campus. And let me think, who else? The wide receivers. Hakeem Williams, obviously. Hakeem Williams is going to be amazing. I think it's going to be Malik Benson and Hakeem Williams will be your 1-2s. That's what I think.
Defense, obviously, best in the country a year ago. What should we see an encore presentation, or are they going to be kind of rebuilding what they did from a year ago?
I don't think they're going to be rebuilding because they had a lot of players who weren't eligible thanks to the NCAA who allowed North Carolina players to play. So we're going to continue on that one. No, they're going to be playing. We got Marvin Jones Jr. Marvin Jones Jr. Earl Little. We've got, oh my God, I can't. Daryl Jackson. I honestly cannot wait for this defense to get on the field because when I went to the spring game, that defense, oh my Lord, how big are they? Like, right. I don't, how do you fit on a bus? I don't know. But like, I don't know. I am excited about it. I think the defense is going to be good. I think, I'm not saying they're definitely going to win the ACC. I just haven't seen a team that shows me that they're going to be better.
Right.
And yes, that's after you North Carolina State fans. Y'all's trophy case is as empty as Miami, says sirs.
Hey,
Sorry, I'm a jerk. I'm just a troll. Like, that's what I am.
It's okay. I'm the same way towards Oklahoma State. They can they take the bell and wins as if it was national championships.
Oh my God! Can you imagine that being the biggest thing in your life?
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
It's like guys, I have like a national championship sweatshirt that I can wear. Y'all don't. Have a good one.
Yeah, their claim to fame is sending Lincoln Riley packing. I think Lincoln Riley was packing regardless. So
I agree with you on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he blew the game. If you can't tell,
I agree with you on that. Mm-hmm.
But as we wrap up the show, I'm going to give you what I would call. What should I call this? The 4 questions of something. I don't know. But I'm going to give you 4 questions. Nothing too hard, nothing too simple. But if there was one university that you would love to see Florida State do a home and away series or play consistently every year, what's that one school?
Michigan.
I'm hearing that a lot from everybody that keeps saying that.
I say this for vain reasons because the Michigan colors look really good on my skin.
Would you transfer from Florida State? Would you enter the transfer portal to go to Michigan?
No. No.
Would you live in Michigan?
No.
Not a part of the questions, but just kind of curious for those Michigan fans out there that may try to recruit you to the Ann Arbor craziness.
No, I do. I just have a lot of Michigan friends that are fans, so I think that would be fun.
If you were the commissioner, if you were the that's the commissioner, and no, that won't make no sense because why would you be the commissioner? If you're the president of the university that makes the final decision of where Florida State is going, what conference? There's all the conference, well, except for the Pac-2, they don't count. What conference are you taking Florida State to?
Big Ten.
Even if you had, man, you're not gonna go to like the Big 12 and
no.
You guys could literally win that thing every year.
Well, we did that in the ACC for years, and we got treated like redheaded stepchild, so we're good. Let's go to the Big Ten to make some money. Give me that money, honey. That's what I want.
If in fact Florida, I would say Ohio State. If in fact Florida State does go to the Big Ten, obviously has no questions. I'm kind of curious, how well do you think Florida State will do?
I think they'll do pretty well. I think they will. I think it'll be Michigan, Ohio State, and Florida State. That's what I think.
Not USC with Lincoln Riley.
No. Did they learn to play defense or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
They're trying, from what I hear.
Well, good luck trying. I don't think that's ever been important to him. So yeah, Florida State will feast on USC. 100%.
Last one, and we'll wrap this up. Bobby Bowden, of course, legacy upon legacy of Florida State, and made a huge impact in the college football realm. Obviously, I get people will say, well, that's a biased standpoint, but it is what it is. Where does Bobby fit when it comes to all-time coaches?
In college football?
Correct. And as a whole, not so much from a winning standpoint, just the impact he made on college football.
I think number one.
That's where I would rank him.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, yes, Nick Saban won a lot, but Nick Saban wasn't liked. Bobby Bowden was liked by rivals. He was liked by rival fans. He was beloved. I don't know. There was something that's missing in lives when he left this world. And I think, and not just that, like when he left college football, I think he was a classy coach. I think he won a lot of games, and I think he was funny. And I think he brought a program, like Florida State was like a freaking beast.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they played anybody, anywhere, anytime. They went to Ohio State. They went to Michigan. Nobody would do home and homes with them. Bobby Bowden did that. He started that. So for me, that's why he's number one. He started the let's stop being wusses. Let's just play. And like other teams were like, well, we're not going to give you home and homes. And he was like, cool, we'll just come to you and beat you. Yep. And that's what he did. And that's what he did multiple times. So for me, Bobby Bowden, I get it. It seems biased for me to say number one, but because of the way he changed the game for me, that's kind of why he's number one. And he never left. He was a coach for 40 years. He got courted by multiple schools, including Alabama, guys, including Alabama. So did Mike Norvell, by the way. Yep. But like said no. And it's such a weird time that we're in now when that was the norm then, you know? And for me, Bobby was just, I don't know. If anybody else could put another college coach above him, I can't find him. I really can't. Maybe Bear Bryant, but Bear Bryant had his own issues. I think for me and the whole lifetime of college football, it's Bobby Bowden. And I don't even think it's close. You might, I don't know. What other coach can you put? Like, I don't know. That changed the game the way he did. I don't know.
Well, I mean, and I'm definitely on board with what you're saying because, I mean, you look at the different, and I give people with different times of the game, and I completely get that and respect that. However, like you said, Bear Bryant, from his days at Texas A&M, he got himself in a lot of stuff that nowadays would get him
canceled,
fired, but he'd be canceled, he'll be arrested, he'll be everything else in between. Nick, and I'm not taking what he did away from Alabama.
Yeah,
he took that program back to dominance, but
nobody really liked him. That's the thing for me. It's like Bobby was so loved. Like even rivals loved him. You know, like Bobby was best friends with Steve Spurrier and his wife. Like it's weird to me. And so for me, Bobby, I know it sounds biased, guys. I see it. I got Florida State here. I know it. But like for me, and then I would say maybe Bob Stoops would be number two for me because he's well liked. He is respected. He changed the game. He won championships and he left on his own terms. And that's respectful. I would put probably Steve Spurrier on number three.
Oh, easily. Easily.
And so I just don't think we're ever going to see these types of coaches again. Like we won't.
Well, no, there's too much money. Number one, the NIL and the transfer polls changing everything, and now it's just where can I Lincoln, where can I go to get the best deal, regardless if it's the best fit for me or not? We're just gonna bow out and we're just gonna go on to the next one and go on to the next and so on and so forth. I think probably not top five. I think top 10. Would you consider Lloyd Carr at Michigan being one potentially, even though App State
Yeah,
raised
I
such
probably
a cloud
could.
over his
I
head?
really could. I really could. But he didn't win a championship, though, did he?
Ooh,
I mean, I'm not saying you have to win a championship.
no.
I'm really not. But he really didn't. And lost to App State. But I did like Lloyd Carr. I um I don't even put Davo in the top 20, guys. And I know this sounds
Oh Lord, no.
crazy. I know it sounds crazy. He's not allowed to call plays. He's not. He's really not. Like, he almost got fired 3 years after he was hired. And the only reason he stayed is because he hired Brent Venables,
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Scott, and that's it. That's it. So, I don't know. It's so hard for Urban Meyer. I would put up there with a college coach. I would, as much as I dislike him. Um, but I mean, maybe I don't hate him as much. I don't know. I think Urban is up there. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Who's your number one? Is it Bobby? Really?
Well, I would say Bobby be one. I mean, I don't know. Um, just from a spectrum, first of all, you're over 40 plus years. Number one. Number
Yeah.
two, people don't really go behind the scenes. Um, he helped out the University of Marshall when they had the
Yep.
incident.
Oh,
He played a huge impact on that program just from an
that really
individual
is like one of
standpoint.
my favorite movies. I swear to
So,
God.
that just in itself, and he was consistent with winning. And I get
Hmm.
back in those days, teams weren't what they are now, but you still won. Barry Switzer again won. Bud Wilkinson, Oklahoma won. But different times, errors. And here's one guy you would contest, but in my opinion, because of what took place in the cover up, I think you just have to eliminate him completely from any rankings. Is Joe Paul? I
I
think
agree.
I
I
think
agree.
if it had Joe Paul not covered up, had he handled it, the situation, you could probably contest. You could probably put 1A, 1B, 1-2 flip flop, however you want to look at that. Joe Paul, though, didn't win much, though. That's another thing. But Joe Paul was consistent with, for the most part. However, because of Sandusky and because he knew in the years that he'd known, I'm sorry. And what took place, Joe Paul, in my opinion, and Nittany
It's
Lions, you can hate
disgusting.
me. He's to me nothing to college football. They had every right to take his statue down, and I think, in my opinion, if he hasn't already, his name should be out of the books.
Here's the thing that I have with this. Joe Pa's wins got given back to him, but Bobby's
Mm-hmm.
didn't.
Yep.
Bobby's didn't. That was a freaking music program that nobody knew anything about, that he self-reported when he found out.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Pa covers up sexual abuse over boys, and you're like, let's give him his wins back. Bobby, sorry, you're dead, so we're good.
Right.
Are you joking with me right now?
Yep.
Bobby should be the winningest coach in college football history right now, but he's not. And that's wrong. And I mean, I'm sorry. And it's not really, I don't know. It's wrong for them to give Joe Paz back. And I'm not trying to throw dirt on a poor dead man's
Well,
grave. I'm really
no.
not. But covering up sexual assaults on young children is way worse than self-reporting a fake music class. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
don't have the time for this.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I'm not going to talk about it. It pisses me off even to this day, to almost 10, 20 years now down the road. But I mean, yeah, you can't even compare. I mean, you can't even compare that to that. I mean, it's just so. In my
Yeah,
opinion, Bobby, especially, you can throw in Steve Spurrier. I think Bear Bryant.
I agree. Mhm.
I think you could throw Bear Bryant not as number one, but top five. You can probably throw in Bear Bryant, but he did some did some stuff.
I mean, Bear Bryant wasn't a great guy either. No.
Yeah.
Like
Bob,
we all know that.
I think Bob, referring to Stoops,
I love Bob Stoops. I do.
I think you can definitely throw him top 5 just because, like you
Hmm.
mentioned, stay at one program. He left on his own terms, even though
Yep.
his book was
And he's a
phenomenal.
winner.
And he won. He literally took his program that was flat out in the grave
Hmm.
and revived it with a bunch of players that they just played. That was all they did.
Yep.
So you definitely got to throw, and he was consistent. I mean, he
Yep.
had never had a losing season, won more Big 12 championships than the whole other 11 teams did combined. So, it was impressive for what he did when he was coach, of course, at old time at Oklahoma. So, I think you throw him in there. That'd be what, 1, 2, 3. You could probably throw in Bobby, Joe Paul's out, Bear Bryant, Steve, Bob. Who would be my last one? Oh, I don't know. Let's throw in. I mean, I guess you can throw in Nick, but God, the recruiting. I still believe there's too much money
He was
involved.
just given like such a Ferrari. I don't know. Let's throw in Kirby Smart. I think Kirby Smart should be thrown in
Yeah,
there,
you can throw
right
in
at this
Kirby.
point.
Yeah,
Because Kirby got handed, or maybe we could throw. Well, Mark Richt couldn't win anything if it.
No, poor guy. He was a great guy. He can never get him over the hump. That's what got him.
I mean, God, he couldn't even beat Florida State at Miami. I mean, ugh.
I'm trying.
I broke a TV on that game, and then we ended up winning it.
I'm trying to think real quick. Oh boy, who would be down the East Coast?
No.
Mac Brown. I don't think Mac Brown's.
I do like Mac Brown.
I don't think he's top 20. I'm not taking shade.
I don't even think. Yeah, no.
Texas. He had one good year at Texas, and that's because Oklahoma had a horrendous year that year.
And you can't say anything about North Carolina because he loses games constantly. God, I don't know. Oh, what's his name? That was the coach at USC. That's at the Seahawks. What's his name?
Pete Carroll.
Yeah. I mean, he did fine at USC, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or Les Miles, one of my favorites at LSU.
That's
He is one of my. I mean, again, I love chaos. I'm an anarchist at heart. Les Miles eating, grass and like going to Michigan and then not going to Michigan. I love every minute of it. Please bring it on, more of it. I need a reality show. Thank you, Les.
He needs to go somewhere small. Just, I don't know if he's in the mood for coaching anymore, but do some small university. I don't care who it is. Kennesaw State. I don't care.
I really can't think of any other big time coaches that have won multiple championships other than maybe Dabo Swinney, but I don't consider him there because he can't call plays.
Well, he's
a CEO.
Yeah, he's starting to be exposed. He's starting to, and that started the first year under when Brett took over Oklahoma. That his defense is not what it once was.
Well, hire your cousin will do that.
Next year, here hired Ball Boy.
Hell, he hired his brother-in-law or something on offense. I don't know what's going on. I really don't.
No, I'll think of another one, but in the meantime, Jen, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Oh, this is so fun. Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful that you invited me. Any other time, let me know.
Well, a lot of college football talk. Of course, the SEC launch party for Oklahoma, July 1, for all you people out there listening. But no, I'll definitely. Where can the listeners find you on the socials and listen to you? And as we wrap up,
well, I am actually on the Renegade Report on YouTube. I'm also on Twitter or X, I guess. Are we supposed to call it X now? Or
I just call it Twitter X. To me, it's still Twitter.
I'm not doing X. I'm not doing that. So I'm at Jen Santee 1890. Jen Knoll 2013 is what I'm mostly known by, but like my whatever handle is whatever. So yeah, hit me up anytime. I do a couple shows. I do some Big 12 Mafia shows. I do Sphere Addicts on YouTube. So anytime, everybody hit me up. I'm available. So
Duke fans, hit her up.
no Duke fans. No. Actually, y'all are probably lawyers and like doctors. So just no Miami fans.
Go for it, Duke. I don't know anybody out there, but go for it. You've been Jen. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule.
Thank you so much.
We'll definitely be talking soon and having you back on and having some more fun. And other than that, guys, hey, we're just getting started. College football, less than 100 days, full of content coming your way. You've been listening to the Air Raid Tech podcast. Have a wonderful night.